Aliuwa, what is time anxiety?
Yeah, so time anxiety is always like being really like fixated or kind of ruminating about being on time, like feeling like time is slipping by or not having enough time. And that can cause someone to become very preoccupied with time. Yeah, so in a very simplistic way, definition, that is time anxiety.
Okay, so why might someone feel like, oh, it's too late or there's not enough time? Like what brings on that intense anxiety about time?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to my mind is because you said, what feel like what might someone, why might someone feel like that?
Yeah.
And so the first question that comes up to in my mind is, okay, is this a subjective experience? That's something that's happening in our reality, or is this objective that really, yes, we are losing time or we're not able to be on time, and kind of differentiating that first. And then, anxiety, whether it's about time or about anything else, is what we call an inhibitory emotion. And so anxiety we experience it in our bodies, whether it's, racing heartbeat, getting hot, but it covers the real emotion that could be under that, and that could be really telling the story about what this thing is all about. Because it may not necessarily, it could be about time. Maybe we grew up and time was something, if you weren't on time for something, maybe you were shamed or maybe you were shunned. And so for some reason, and so that's what has kind of carried over. And so we would have to take a look at, what are the emotions underneath the anxiety? Is it fear? Is it sadness? Is it hurt? Is it anger? Like there's something that's under there that could be a deeper reason than just time, and I would also kind of wonder about, messages that, like internal messages around that, like being late. Like, what does that mean? Does it mean I'm a bad person? Then if that is the message, okay, so where did we hear that message? That if we're late, that somehow that means that we're a bad person. Where did that first come online for us? Where did we learn that? Where did we hear that? And kind of dealing with that, because that is what's impacting the time anxiety, right? This need to this preoccupation with time. So it's a very loaded question. It could be different, deeper things that are really happening. Whenever I think about anxiety, about anything, I think, okay, that's surface level, what's really happening underneath. That could be the root issue.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I mean, like you said, anxiety there can be so many other things underneath, and so thinking about the root cause would probably be really helpful going forward. So, what advice though would you give to someone who is struggling with that time anxiety right now? With those intense feelings of it's too late or things like that.
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is intentionally, when we talk about kind of facing our fear, intentionally titrating, like being late for something, intentionally doing it, something like a birthday party or maybe with a friend, and saying to them, hey, I'm going to be 10 minutes late, intentionally, right? And seeing what that's like for you when you show up and you are late, and what the response is from those, right? And kind of, so because it's the fear of I'm going to be running late, right? So why not do it with something safe, right? Not to work, not to a board meeting, not to, if you're seeing the president, not to something super, super important, but, because fear is an internal, it's in this case, it's like an internal experience, right? And so kind of facing that head on and seeing what happens, it's exposure, like exposing yourself to that and seeing, okay, can I have a correctional experience around this, that, life is not going to be over if this did happen. The other thing is, we can talk about time management tools, like what tools have been, are being utilized in order to help with that. I would say journaling also. Yeah, so those are just a couple of things that are coming to mind right now. And also, here's the fourth, I lied. Inviting people to speak into your anxiety.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, having them, depending on what the internal message is that you're sending to yourself about being late, having people speak the opposite of that.
Okay.
Right? That it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. If those are the underlying issues that are underneath the time anxiety, right? Like having people give you what we call a correctional experience around that it doesn't mean that your personhood is bad somehow, right? So once again, community and that interaction and having people speak into that when you're so preoccupied helps to break the cycle.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh, here comes that relationship topic again about people helping us. We want to transform like an area of our lives. Like you really need to bring people into it.